welcome once again to Crazy Comics and Stories. It's me, your charming and delightful old Uncle Rat Bastard. And at the other end of the series of tubes and wires that we call the internets is Joe, Crazy Writer. How you doing today, Joe?
Not too bad. Not too bad. A little groggy, a little hot. We couldn't get our AC to function properly. Get kind of a moldy smell in it.
Oh, no.
So,
well, you pour a bunch of bleach on it. That'll help.
That's what I thought too, or just urinate on it. That's jellyfish. I don't know. That's
you have a jellyfish urinate on your that kills mold.
It might. It's just when you have a jellyfish sting, you're supposed to pee on it. It's supposed to eliminate the sting.
I don't think that's real. I think that was made up by people who like being peed on.
Well, maybe. I don't know. I know I got arrested for it on a Florida beach, but, hey, I was trying to be helpful.
Stupid public urination. So, it's time for previews, everybody. I got my DC previews right here. I got my Marvel previews right here. I got my previews catalog right here. Oh, look, even on the cover it says everything. It's about everything. So, are we ready?
I haven't got my previews yet. I haven't got my box day yet. I did watch Stranger Things 3. I mean, I dropped on July 4th. We could talk about that. Did you see it yet?
No. Oh, the new Spider-Man movie. We could talk about the new Spider-Man movie. Man, that was so cool. We could really go over it in detail. Are you ready for that?
No, I haven't seen it yet. Well, I got... What do you want to talk about? No, wait. I got something. Okay. Now, you read Walking Dead, right?
Yeah.
As a monthly?
Yes.
Now, of course, the news hit last week. It was rumor, and then boom, that the last issue that I think hit last week, didn't it?
Yes, it was on Wednesday.
And it's
a surprise cancellation is how Robert Kirkman talked about it.
And of course, the first thing I thought of is they kind of did that once before during the Ultraverse, where they set something up as a 4-issue miniseries, but it wasn't. And
no, what it was, they set it up as a new series. It was the Exiles.
But they also told us, at least the retailers, that it wasn't.
Yeah. In previews, they solicited all the way out to issue 7. But at the end of issue 4, all the characters were killed. And they had a little note in the back. This is the last issue of the Exiles.
Because I do remember when I was ordering from Diamonds, I ordered like 1,000 copies. And I don't know how I got word on this. I don't know if my buddy Al Payne told me or if it came through the comic book retailer Grapevine or whatever, but I knew it wasn't happening. So I just ordered 1,000 to bump me over to the next discount plateau. And I didn't. I think, no, it was Cap City at the time. And I did get a call from them. Are you sure you want to order 1,000 copies?
Damn right I do.
And I said, it's a ruse. It's not being published. They're canceling it at 4. And the person on the line, you could hear the 2 gears. That's my version of double clutching, folks. There's an old reference. And she's like, but I said, yes, leave it. I need 1,000 copies. And of course, it came out. Surprise! This is the end. And 4, 5, 7, or 5, 6, 7 canceled. So, and back then we weren't prepaying things. At least we weren't at the shop. So, but yeah, this one. Now I don't read. No, go ahead.
The other thing about when they did that, it was to try and grab attention.
Big time.
The Ultraverse, because they wanted that feeling that the Ultraverse is where anything could happen, and they would do little stunts like that to try and surprise both the retailers and the fans, so that people would go, "Oh, I can't miss this. Who knows what they're going to do?" With The Walking Dead, it's different in that Kirkman, after they got to a certain sales point and they didn't have to talk about what was in upcoming issues anymore, Kirkman wanted people to be surprised. He didn't want people to know what was going to happen next. And this is kind of the ultimate version of that.
Now, the question I have is, now I read mine when I get those big, what, $150 or $50 compendiums of soft covers.
Yes.
So I'm a ways away from reading it. Now, have you read it?
Yes.
Okay, you want to drop a spoiler warning and tell me what happens?
All right, what it is, 2 issues ago, the issue ended with Rick Grimes being shot.
Oh, I thought a zombie got him.
Nope. The last issue, he died alone, came back, and was found by Carl, who had to kill him. And in the letters page, they went, this is not the story of a man, it's the story of a world. Anybody can die, etc., etc., etc. And, he even said at the end of the issue that, people are going to be wondering who's going to be the main character from now on. And he dropped hints that it could be Negan.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then all of a sudden, here's the last issue of the book. It's almost triple size for the same price. And it shows what happened. It's 10 years after, or I don't remember the exact number of years, but it's a number of years after Rick Grimes. There's a statue of him. And it shows what the world is like. And in the conclusion, Kirkman says that the reason he did it this way is when he's watching a TV show or a movie or reading a book or even a comic, he can tell when the end is coming by, oh, look, there's only 5 minutes left in the movie. There's only 50 pages left in the book. They've announced that the comic ends in this many issues. He didn't want to give any clues to that. So he had worked it out with Image that they would just continue to solicit comics, but that 190, what is it, 193?
3, I think.
Yep, 193 would be the last issue. Part of the reason why it was the size it was so that it would make sure that the last trade paperback wasn't shorter than all the rest.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And like you said, they didn't raise the content, just the size or the price. They didn't raise the price.
And this was the second ending that he had, because the first ending we passed quite a long time ago.
Oh.
He has said for a while that when he originally thought up the book, he planned that when Rick got to Alexandria, that would be the end. After the people there took over Alexandria, that would be the end of the book, because they've settled, they found they kind of found what civilization there is, and that would be the end. But he figured that he still had more stories to tell. The original version he wanted to end with was that the story would end with a statue of Rick and the civilization all around him, and then the camera would pan back a little bit and the statue would be old and weathered. They'd pull back a little more and you'd see that the civilization and the city was empty. You'd pull back a little more and you'd see a single zombie walking by the statue. Which is very much in line with what most zombie movies do, but he said he wanted to end things on a different note. So I have to be honest, I love this idea that the end came out of nowhere. That Rick's death we weren't really ready for. And he set it up perfectly in the letters page by saying, main characters die all the time. Look at what's happened in the TV show. Rick's no longer even on the TV show, and it's continuing. Rick's death doesn't mean the end. And then in the final issue, it's like, yeah, Rick's death was the end. Because Rick dying was kind of the last vestige of the world of The Walking Dead. Now it's a different world. And I wish comics had more surprises. You know, because I have my previews and I'm looking through, and most of the time any big surprises are told you're told this is a big issue. Everything changes.
Yeah. Or it does what we find mildly annoying. Everything's redacted and you'll be revealed later.
Yeah.
Which, you know, I guess I understand, but as a retailer, that's, especially with a new series, that is extremely hard to sell. You know, I keep thinking of like Mr. and Mrs. X, as they call it. Yeah. And they didn't want to reveal, okay, Kitty and Colossus didn't get married, but Rogue and Gambit did.
But they didn't even reveal who the creative team was.
Yeah. And that makes it tough. And again, I don't know how fast they tell the retailers if you're going to make it returnable or you're going to ship extras. And maybe they did. We're not totally tied into the retailer nuances, you know, what happens. I did hear, though, Walking Dead, didn't they overship it?
Yes. And
brilliant.
And Marvel is overshipping a lot of stuff at no cost.
Yeah.
A lot of number ones, they're shipping extras at no cost, which that's just such a great idea.
It is, because as a retailer, I get it. I can sell it, and then I can turn around, if any are left over, and send them back, and I'll have enough time with the final order cutoff date to usually order number 2. So it's a lot better. It's a lot quicker. They're actually utilizing technology that really didn't exist before. Because for me, it used to be when I had Hot Comics, I'd have to order, call up and say, "Hey, could you order me format?" Well, they're back ordered, out of stock, whatever. Assuming I could get through. But the only thing I was ahead of the curve on was when we talk about the super discount list where I got all sorts of cool things, because I would get that on Monday and I would email it the same day. And then it got to the point where I could upload it. So people were complaining, well, I didn't get to see the list till Wednesday. So, well, I saw it on Monday and I got my order on Wednesday. So that worked out good. And I was curious, have you heard any other blowback from Walking Dead ending?
I've not heard any blowback. I've heard that, first off, they're one of the few books that could do it because they sell so well. They can actually afford to pay whatever fine they need to for soliciting comics that, you know, aren't coming out. There are a lot of creators who talk about how, you know, basically congratulating them for the run. And if I were a retailer, Image would be worrying me just a little bit because their 2 best-selling books, Saga and Walking Dead, are gone. So hopefully something else steps in and sells well.
Come
kind of
back.
help them with that.
Come back.
And of course, you know, you read online and it's just, I don't even bother reading what people complain about online. I really don't. It's a waste of time. Nobody's happy. They aren't. Nobody's
What's
happy.
that in reference to?
Mad Magazine. They have announced that there will be 2 more issues of Mad Magazine with original material, and then it's going all reprint. And if you are on Facebook, people are, "Oh, this is terrible. It's so sad." And yet the stuff they're posting is from the 60s and 70s.
And you also want to wonder, when's the last time you bought an issue of Mad? I can tell you what mine was. It was when Weird Al Yankovic took over the whole thing. And I had to go to not Barnes & Noble. Yeah, I did Barnes & Noble. I had to go there to buy it. I couldn't find it at a comic shop. I didn't think to order it. I don't know how I missed it in the solicitation. I would have thought seeing Weird Al's face next to Alfred E. Newman would have caught my attention because I'm such a big Weird Al fan. But I don't know if they didn't announce that he was doing it or I just... And I never
skipped it.
It's possible.
You know, it was in previews, and previews is so full of stuff, and you probably
I do
Don't
look at everything, if not for me, if for the show. Like the last time we did previews, I've actually taken to going through and like, hey, if I see something interesting, like, hey, look, there's a new Firefly. I can talk too. Firefly series going. That might be something, especially if it's not from one of the big two. That might be something to point out to somebody. Although nowadays people are, I get this little blurb from Bleeding Cool News that pops up in the corner of my computer all the time. So, there are ways to find it. But even if they had the picture of the cover, I would have caught that. So, but again, maybe you might be right. I probably glossed over it. Like, oh, there's humor. Okay, I'll just flip through that. Look at see who's teaming up with Scooby-Doo. Okay, whatever, keep going. And they canceled that too. But the last time, I always ordered a copy of Mad for the shop, the big store. And I remember it was also, and I've talked about this in the past, they retooled it because the gang of idiots decided, hey, you know what? We're too safe. And this is in the 90s when I had the shop, and I don't know when this occurred. And so they decided with this issue, we're retooling it. They didn't cancel and start, which again is a big trope right now. And of course, as I'm opening it, the first page lines up, and here's a kid standing at his back's to you. You're looking at his back. In front of him's a school blackboard, and the teacher's mad, and the guys are laughing, and the women are laughing, and one girl's going, ooh, looking down low. Headline, Curse of the Old-Time Woody. And I'm like, okay, they're back. But somewhere along the line, they lost it again. And we turned to our good buddy not really good buddy, but, Doug, help me out with the name again.
Paskevich.
Thank you, Paskevich from Arsenic Lullabies. And he had a long thing about why Mad Magazine was going to fail. The least of which was if you're going to do partisan attacks, you're going to lose half your audience right away. So that's not the way to do a humor magazine. Somebody wants to pick up a humor magazine, fan humor, he doesn't want to see his politician, and of course, because Trump's in power, Trump was the target, they want to see his guy getting skewered. I said, you don't want to do anything that pisses off or makes half the audience want to drop your book. And he had other reasons too, and he also had reasons why he thinks he could keep Mad going. But I have yet to see him, because it's con season, I want to see his reaction to this happening. Doug doesn't let you post things. I don't know if you can post things on his Facebook, but he doesn't do a lot of commentary because he's trying to create. He's not trying to be, Facebook cop. And I think it just aggravates him too. So, but it was like the handwriting was on the wall. They dropped from monthly to 6 times a year.
Well, no, Mad was always 8 times a year. And
with a special or two, wasn't it?
Yep, they would have specials and stuff. But as long as William Gaines was in charge, it was 8 times a year. When William Gaines died, they went to monthly. And Paul Levitz on Facebook talked about how nobody at DC understood the magic of Mad Magazine. Once Gaines died, the control went over to DC, and he talked about, sales just very slowly kept falling. And the peak, I can even tell you what issue was the peak issue. Back in the 70s, the Poseidon Adventure issue was their highest selling issue. And I think, what was it? Al Feldstein said it sold over 2.5 million copies. This was when you had Mad and Cracked and National Lampoon and Crazy and Sick and all these other magazines, because magazines still sold in the 70s because you only had 3 TV channels. You didn't have videotapes. You didn't have movie rental. I'm not going to say it was like in the 40s, but there was people still read a lot of books. People still read a lot of magazines. And magazine sales are in the toilet. Long-running magazines are selling terrible. Levitt said that by the time he was no longer in charge at DC, Mad sales were around 140,000 copies an issue. And that's when Mad went to, everybody forgets, after Mad 500, they went quarterly because sales were so poor. And they were able to bring it back to bi-monthly through subscriptions. And they pushed subscriptions really hard. But newsstand companies are saying that Mad has a less than 40% sell-through. So that means for every 10 copies they print, 4 would sell and 6 would get destroyed. I knew the writing was on the wall when they brought in Bill Morrison as editor and then fired him.
Yep.
And eliminated the position. Why? Because AT&T had bought Order Communication. And I've talked about it in the past. When a company buys another company, the first thing they do, they look through and what's not making profit. That's why when AOL bought Time Warner back in the 2000, they looked and said, oh, look, World Championship Wrestling's not making money. Never mind all the financial bookkeeping weirdness around WCW. Nope, it's not making money. Get rid of it.
You know, I've seen that too. I read an article about a big company. I think it was General Mills. Same thing, same corporate behavior. They came in, they cut brands they couldn't sell, they got rid of stuff, and then they started to do something unusual for a company is they started actually investing in things, which is why you see all sorts of different cereals in different formats. The little cup, in breakfast bars, in snack packs. So now they're actually weathering the storm because food is a tight market and it's dropping off. I mean, there were rumors like some people are I don't know if it's corporate investors or invaders or whatever, and telling Walmart that, hey, you got to stop selling groceries. They're not making your profit any better. Because it's a tight, like 1% to 2%.
Yeah.
You think that, oh God, Lord, I'm dropping $200 a week at Target just buying my foods, which I really don't need to now that the girls are out of the house. And
but if you look at grocery store prices, they're pretty much the same across the board.
Yeah.
And the way they draw you in is loss leaders.
Well, that was a big thing. Toys R Us used to carry diapers all the time.
Yeah.
They didn't make money on diapers. And they were always in the back of the store. But you had to walk by everything. And any parents out there know, and you kids at heart like me, you can't walk through a toy store without going, I want this. And I'm talking me. I'm not talking about my kids. The kids they're even worse. But no, I'm kidding. No, besides gave me an excuse. Well, if she bought one, I get one. I laugh at that because Dana used to say that to me when I'd be like, I'm going to Toys R Us. Oh, good, I can go. If I bought something, she knew she could buy something.
Yes.
So yeah, and I guess I'm not surprised to see Mad Magazine go. And there's and again, the people who seem to be mourning it, I kept my tongue civil. You almost like, what is the last issue of Mad you actually bought?
And I'm also going to poke back at Doug in that. You know why Trump was on the cover so much? Those issues sold better. When you had Mad TV on Fox, that didn't help sales. When you had the Mad Cartoon on Cartoon Network, you'd think, oh, that would sell stuff. Nope, it sold books, didn't sell the magazine.
And that's the biggest, how would you say, myth in what I call specialty retailing, or as I always said when I had Hot Comics, I'm a niche retailer. I have a niche, I sell it, because we're all, as soon as the X-Men cartoon comes out, we'll do better. Yeah, because we advertised on it. As soon as Batman comes out, Batman will sell better. Well,
Batman was already selling through the roof when the Batman cartoon started.
You think of all the billions that Avengers brought in, yet I see day after day comic shops closing. The Avenger comic is so incompatible with anybody who comes in from the movie. I didn't even see any comic shops advertising at in the movies. And a lot of it's different because now, when I go see the Ultra Screen, they have their own slick little program at the beginning, but you can buy ads for these places and they'll toss them in. I mean, I did see some chiropractic ads when I was sitting there with the pre-show, and I kept thinking, why didn't a comic shop do it? Maybe co-op's dead. Maybe it's just not budgetable. Maybe it didn't make a difference. Nobody who sees the movie necessarily is going to turn around and go, "Hey, I want to go over to the source and buy me some Avenger comics." So now I did hear
things about Mad.
I did hear that Crazy's coming back for an issue, which is Marvel's version. There's a heavy metal type version. I can't remember. I had the title written somewhere, and I think their first issue is actually being published this month. And somebody's like, well, this might have the ability to take the place of Mad. I don't think so because I barely see heavy metal anywhere. But that might be a place where the Mad people go. Plus, they're more adult orientated anyways. So you've already eliminated any kids. Not that I see kids buying magazines, but I don't even. Does Mad had an online content?
Oh yeah, they had tons of online content, and it got shared on Facebook a lot. The way Mad is going to be canceled is there will be 2 more issues of new material, which is basically stuff they've already done and purchased. So issues 9 and 10 will be new. Then it will issue 9 will be the last issue on newsstands. Because again, 40% sell through, they're losing money. And when you get 40% sell through, one of the reasons you're not seeing Mad at the grocery store anymore is because if you got a 40% sell through, there's no way they're going to give that rack space. That's just stupid. You give it to stuff that gets a 50 to 70% rack sell through or is paying for the rack space. Which is why when you go there, the magazines that are in the front, they're not there because, the magazine company wants you'll really like this. They're either selling really well or they've paid for that, like how Archie would pay to be in the grocery store checkout lines for decades. Then issue 10 will be direct sales only. They will continue it with reprint material after that to fill out subscriptions. And I'm going to point out that if you go to Groupon right now, you can subscribe to Mad for $5 a year.
I could explain why after all these years, even though I don't think we're paying for it, we're still getting Entertainment Weekly.
Yeah.
They won't, we're kind of like, we got it for a year. We got the free Thor handbag, which, it was like a duffel pack for Jim, which my daughter promptly, took off with. And I'm like, we don't even read it. It just, it acquires up. And if I see something on the cover, I'm kind of like, I'll kind of look at it. But most of it, the time I read through it, it's like, I don't know who the hell they're talking about. You people and your fancy music and your interwebs. Yeah. In my day, we used to just call the theater and see what was up.
I also can tell you right now that there will be something with Mad's name on it being published at some point.
Oh, yeah.
The books, actually, the book collections that they have put out still do well enough. Like, those trade paperbacks like the $12.95 Mad about Trump and Mad about superhero movies and this and that. Those sell well enough that they're going to keep making those. There's already grumblings out there that they will put out something with new material every year. They're going to do something to keep that name out there because there's cachet in the name. And that's why they're going to do the reprints. As long as they do the reprints to fill out subscriptions, they don't have to worry about the copyright or the trademark or any of that. Because, there have been 2 different Mad TV series. They're going to mine that stuff for books and stuff. It's not going to go away. It's just going to change. And I think... what is it? Michael Gerber, who publishes American Bystander, is already in talks with DC to license the name for a magazine. So who knows? Maybe it'll show up at IDW. Maybe it'll show up at Dark Horse. Maybe they'll just reprint the, for all we know, in 2-3 years, somebody will say, hey, why don't we just go back and do it, the comic the way they did the comic in the early 50s? The magazine just doesn't sell. And for all the people who are mourning it, I doubt they've read an issue in years. I do read it. I picked up the Bill Morrison stuff that he edited, and it was clever and it was funny. And there was the problem I've had with Mad since I got out of high school, which is it's aimed at kids in junior high and high school.
Who probably aren't reading it.
No.
If they're even aware of it.
Mad was for a certain age. The people who, Mad is timeless and it's great satire. And it's, even back in the 60s, it was jokes about school food. It was jokes about teachers. They would have other stuff, but it was aimed at boys age 8 to 16. And then you would graduate onto National Lampoon, which died in the 90s, or Spy Magazine, which died in the 90s. Magazines, especially humor magazines, once again, I could not disagree with Doug Moore in that humor now is so timely and so ephemeral. Mad used to be the only place you could get satire. Now, there's satire everywhere. You're competing with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 late night hosts who are doing satire based on the news. You're competing against the internet stuff. You're competing against The Onion. You're competing against the Hard Way Times. You're competing against all these websites. And, just because of how Mad is done, anything that's in there is dated. Any current events humor is going to be dated. I, like everybody else who wanted to break into comics, I sent stuff to Mad back in the 80s. And I got very nice rejection letters basically saying, current events humor, our publishing isn't fast enough to keep up with it. This is good stuff, but by the time we printed it, we might have a new president.
So did you keep those letters?
They're somewhere.
Yeah. See those? Maybe put them on eBay. You never know. I've seen some weirder things. Now, since you're up to date on all the publishing, are the Walmart DC books dead?
No.
Well, what the hell are they bundling them, 10 for $10 all of a sudden?
Because they have one of the Walmart books and then a bunch of New 52 books. It's not 10 of the Walmart books. It's one of the Walmart books.
Okay.
And it's Justice League.
Okay, I'm sitting there thinking, oh my God, I'd be pissed if I bought all these things thinking, now I could have bought them 10 for $10.
No, but you could get your New 52 Batman.
I already sold the one I had, the Batman 4 with the first appearance of, what was her name, Ginny Hex?
Yeah.
Although I did hear...
No, it's Justice League. No, these are New 52 Batman, so the Scott Snyder run, and Justice League #1.
Oh, I was talking the Batman book. I actually found one after the price had gone up. I did see that in the Marvel packs, there was like an exclusive Walmart Black Cat cover.
Yeah.
So if you luck out and find that one, or if you luck out and find any of those Marvel Comic Presents number 6, we're becoming speculators, which could be good for the market because it shows there is interest, but it also could be an artificial high there. I mean, really, Avenging Spider-Man #9 is still a $300 book? Well, I don't know.
No, the Walmart books are, according to the distributor and DC, they're both saying this. They're an 80% sell-through.
I would be willing to bet that's us. I cannot believe that Joe Public is buying these.
Doesn't matter.
No.
They're selling.
But it's very incestuous is what it is. I'm just saying. When you've got a guy running to his Walmart 100 miles away and bringing it back to his local comic store and bumping them up a few bucks.
What I'm going to be interested in is once the exclusive contract with Walmart is over, and it goes through at least September, because they keep saying once that exclusive contract is over, these books, the actual books themselves, will be available in the direct market. I want to see how they do once that happens.
I don't know. I can't see the direct market getting all excited about it. There's
yeah, but will the people who are going to Walmart like me, oh, now I don't have to go to Walmart. I could get them at my comic shop, and the Walmart.
I know that's going to happen. But what I'm saying is, I think that'll be the death of it, because as we said before, at previews, there's a lot of stuff in there. And if you're going to be buying just for the exclusive content, are you really going to still want to do $5.99 for reprints of stuff that you probably already have that came out a while back? Or are you going to wait for the graphic novel or wait till they do the miniseries? Like, I think they're currently doing a bunch of miniseries that's reprinting the stuff that was in the Walmart. Or will you wait for the graphic novel? One way or another, you're going to get to read these stories. But when you start looking at, well, let's see, they just bumped up all the omnibuses another $50. Are you going to want to do the $5.99 for all these books, or wait? So that to me would be the real choice. What format are you going to buy these in? Are you going to do it like the comic? You're going to do it like, or will DC even reprint them in miniseries format, thinking, well, we already had it in the $5.99. Let's just go right to the graphic novel. So inquiring minds want to know.
It'll be interesting to see how those reprints of the Walmart stories sell. Because I remember when they announced them, comic shops treated it like, oh, you've come into my shop and shot my child in front of my eyes. And now here you go. Here's these stories you wanted. Who cares?
Speaking of other outrage, now when you heard that Halle Bailey was going to be Little Mermaid, did you think Mrs. Catwoman?
I'm going to tell you exactly what I thought. I don't watch the Disney remakes of their cartoons. It's not for me. I'm not a little kid, and I don't have little kids. And the people who say, I don't know why they're doing this, I would point you toward the huge pile of money that Beauty and the Beast made. See that huge pile of almost $1 billion? That's why they're doing it. When something is successful, they're going to keep doing it. Now, do I care that the Little Mermaid's going to be black? No. Did I watch the original Little Mermaid? Yes. Guess what? One of the mermaids in there was not only black, she was deaf and used sign language. So these people who, your mermaids can't be black, why not? They're mermaids. They're fictional.
Fictional. See, my first reaction was, who? And then I thought, isn't she a little old to be playing a Little Mermaid? And then I realized, this is somebody I've never seen before. And when
it's another one of those actors created by the Disney factory.
And then when I saw her picture, I was like, damn. As long as those clamshells fit, that's going to be good. Yes, I go down to the basic, whatever. To me, it's such a fake controversy. So it gives people something to, oh my God, they made her black. Yeah, but she's hot. Or, as Gene Wilder once said, that I've been quoted so often from Young Frankenstein, excuse me while I don't blow your monitors, it could work!
And for me,
as you said, I will probably catch it on the upcoming Disney Channel streaming service.
For me, it's the same thing I say about a lot of the stuff. It's not for me, so not because she's black, not because she's this. It's because I don't have a little kid. I don't go to little kid movies.
Hey, I went to little kid movies, and I can tell you 2 reasons I went to go see Power Ranger the movie. The first one. Well, first of all, the Pink Ranger. Second of all, I can't think of the actress's name who played the guide who brought her in, all the Power Rangers in to get their new Zords, because she was very tight-bodied, fit, trim, busty, blonde. And I leaned over to my buddy Rick, who came along with me with all the kids, and I leaned over and said, "Psst, that's for us." The kids are totally oblivious because it's just part of the storyline, and we're like, okay, I stop drooling at my popcorn.
I don't get any of these controversies, but then again, it's why I say the online fans, I just don't pay attention to them anymore.
Well, is there any good news?
Spider-Man, $400 million first week of superhero fatigue money.
That actually makes me feel good because, and I think we talked about it when we did our Avenger thing. It felt like the Avengers like, okay, I could drop off and never see another superhero Marvel movie. But now I'm actually excited to see Spider-Man. I was excited to see the new stuff in Avengers, but tomorrow I got to decide what I'm going to do. If Avengers is still there, I may see it because I've only seen Avengers once. Otherwise, I might go see Spider-Man, so then maybe you and I can talk about it. It'll be a couple weeks, so we can just throw the spoiler warning up and go on.
Spider-Man was so much fun. One of the things about the Marvel superhero movies is each character feels different, yet has kind of the same quality level. And this one felt like this was a teenage comedy. And there was the action, adventure, and stuff. But the Spider-Man movies, they've got the comedy portion of it down. I also like the fact, and this is the thing that always bugged me about the earlier Spider-Man movies. It's almost like they want to get his teenage years out of the way as fast as possible.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, in the comic, I tell you what, if Stan Lee would have known that the comic would last for 60 years, he would not have graduated Peter Parker from high school in 4 years. Or 3 years, I think. Yeah, it was 3 years. And Brian Michael Bendis showed, no, you leave him in high school for a long time. That's what Ultimate Spider-Man did. Because there you've got this ready-made drama. Because teenage high school years are nothing but drama. And there's so much that you can do from it. They continue with Aunt May not being on her deathbed, which is something I also liked. Because I think the comics kind of squeezed every drop of pathos they could out of that over the decades.
But they could bring back Dr. Octopus getting married to her. That was pretty. I mean, they didn't even get to the honeymoon.
Yeah. But no, it's a really fun movie.
How would a woman deal with a guy with 8 arms? Oh my!
Let's remember that Sue Storm is the happiest woman in the Marvel universe.
Well, just think about how the Incredibles felt.
Well, believe it or not,
they laughed at Plastic Man, but.
So what else do you have on your list?
Actually, my list is done, but I saw something on your list that I know we're going to revisit. But right now, it's just Netflix is like what now? Fast Sliding, a Sandman TV show.
They didn't even need to see the pilot.
Yeah, I mean, and of course, now that the model's been shown how to do it, Preacher, The Boys, even Good Omens, which. If you haven't seen yet, is brilliant. Absolutely loved it. I mean, and I watched it. I didn't know what was going on next, even though I've read the book twice. And I got to the end, I go, oh, yeah, that's what happened. My wife loved it. And when I saw the Sandman TV show, I'm like, oh, good. Hopefully they'll do it right because I'm really excited. And I think we're going to see more of that because, Netflix is thinking ahead like, yeah, we're going to lose all our Disney Marvel stuff.
Well, the other thing that Netflix announced this week is they are not going to be spending as much money on new content. And I don't know if that means they're going to be cutting budgets or they're just not going to have as much because every month I look at what's coming and going from Netflix, and the number of TV series that they put on every month is just, it's too much. It's overwhelming. And they are spending more money than anybody else on content. And I imagine it's finally to where they're like, we really need to make some profit before we keep this up.
Yeah. Well, and the other question is how long? I don't even know how long a streaming model can last, because I mean, I went the other day. I'll give you the New Year's thing if you guys want to go back to the New Year's show and look at it. When somewhere in my vast accumulation of crap, I have a copy of What's Up Doc, Ryan O'Neal, Barbra Streisand movie, comedy from '72, rated G, hilarious, absolutely loved it. And we wanted to show it to some friends who had never seen it. Could not find it. Found the case, which means probably in one of my wanderings way back when I was a traveling TSO, I put it in a slot and it's missing, or maybe Dana borrowed it or whatever. Well, $2.99, I could use it, rent it for a night. We don't even go to Redbox anymore. We used to go to Redbox almost nightly, and now it's like, you know what? We could just stream and look for something. But I can't envision what is left out there that can't be streamed, that hasn't been streamed yet, or is available somewhere. You want Doctor Who? BBC America if you want the live version. If not, wait, it'll be on Amazon. If I want it, I can pay $24.99 and get the entire last season, or I'll wait because sooner or later it's going to drop to free. And that's not even counting, bootlegs. I mean, I don't do bootlegs, but I know it's still out there. I got a buddy. Yeah, I just downloaded this. Why? It's $5 in the fucking in the bargain bin at Walmart.
Well, one of the things that's happening is as these streaming services start splitting, pirating is going back up because I was talking with one of the staff last night because he was streaming. He does the overnights, and I didn't get back to the group home from the hospital till after midnight. So he was streaming from his phone to the TV to watch anime. He has Crunchyroll. And he was like, oh, if you like anime, you should get Crunchyroll. It's like, yeah, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 streaming services. It's silly to get another one when I don't have time to watch this one. Well, as older movies go away and new movies aren't showing up on Netflix and Hulu because, TV series stream better, so we're going to put more money into streaming TV series than this. People are like, oh, well, if it's not on Netflix or Hulu, I'm just going to pirate it because I don't want to have to subscribe to 5 or 6 different streaming services. And I'm not saying that that's right. I'm saying that's what people are doing.
And it's getting to the point where the only one I'm genuinely excited for is the Disney. Because, I mean, I'm a Disney boy. I think of all the content. I'm not talking new stuff. I mean, there's a dizzying array of new stuff that I've never even, the aforementioned live action stuff. I would watch that at home. I'm not going to go pay $10, $12 in a theater to see it. But there are old shows that Disney doesn't run. I'd love to see old Amazing Wonderful World of Disney. That was like my Saturday or Sunday night staple. And of course I loved it when the cartoons came on. Not all the Disney cartoons are funny, but there's a few that Looney Tunes had them hand down for just humor, but there's some of them that I have to reevaluate. It's like, yeah, these are actually funny. And I can't think of the show, The Scarecrow of the one that Patrick McGowan was in. Absolutely want to re-see that. I don't have $400 to buy the limited edition DV set on the eBays. So that's the only one I'm excited for. Everybody else, I'm kind of like, or even like you said, the other services. Oh yeah, you can do this and get. Dana's got Amazon Prime. Holly's got Hulu. We've got Netflix. I've got WWE. Somewhere I've got Marvel Unlimited. I barely access it. I don't have time to watch that. And I love documentaries. I could just sit and spend the rest of my years watching documentaries. And that's just on Netflix. And I discovered them on Amazon Prime. I'm like, yeah, I don't think I need to get the other hip done. I'll just sit in this easy chair forever. I better get a grow some batteries, though. I'd hate to think that, shit, my batteries died. But I have time now. I had time.
Well, you know who else has time, Joe?
What's his name? Tip of my tongue. Oh, Forever Young.
I don't even know what that is.
That's psychological reference. Sorry.
These guys, our sponsors. That's right, here at the Solitaire Rose Radio Network, we have ads, and our first sponsor is me. That's right, your charming and delightful old Uncle Rat Bastard. I have my first book out with Dangerous Dan Moore. It's the first 100 strips of our online web strip, Worldwide News, the story of the lowest rated cable news network. And you can get yourself a copy with commentary, with all sorts of extras, with signatures and everything. Just email Dan over at lordshadowflame@gmail.com. Our top sponsor, who's been with us since day one, is DreamHost. DreamHost.com. You need yourself a website, and DreamHost.com is the #1 web host in the whole known universe. Just head over to DreamHost.com, put in the code CRAYZ, KRAYZ, get $20 off your first year. How can you beat that? Our other sponsor is Graze, GRAZE.com. Healthy snacks for a healthy lifestyle. Just head over to Graze, put in the code CORYS3R5P. Your first and fifth box are free. You could get them weekly. You could get them bi-weekly. You could get them monthly. You could just order a whole bunch of them. It's great stuff to keep you away from the vending machine at work. Now, if you would like to leave a comment for any of the podcasts that we do, we'd love those. Go ahead and email us at solitairerosenetwork@gmail.com, or you can call 952-856-0519. Operators are standing by. Okay, it's just a place that will record your calls, but we'll play them on the air. We'll answer your questions. We love getting feedback. Tell us what you think. Ask a question. Suggest a topic. Be a guest. Send us your stuff. SolitaireRoseNetwork@gmail.com. If you would like to advertise on any of the Solitaire Rose radio shows, you can. Just email us at SolitaireRoseNetwork@gmail.com. Subject advertising. Thanks.
How great it is to be sponsored.
And I'm busy too. Listen to this. The Solitaire Rose Radio Network has all sorts of podcasts for you. There's, of course, Crazy Comics and Stories, where myself and Crazy Joe Ryder get together once a week to talk comics. We review comics, we talk about upcoming comics, we talk about comics history. Anything that has to do with comics, we're going to talk about. We also have Series in Review, where we review series and kind of give a DVD commentary of past comics that we've enjoyed. There is also Solitaire Rose Radio. Solitaire Rose Radio is my solo show where I discuss upcoming comics, past comics, comics history, and interview comics creators. These are all at crazycomics.solitairerose.com. There's also the podcast I'm proudest of. That's Novelcast, where I take the novels that I have written and turn them into audiobooks. That's at novels.solitairerose.com. Over at Bad Advice, myself, Dan Moore, and Wolfie B. Bad take your questions and give you bad advice. It's at badadvice.solitairerose.com. Now, don't think that I'm doing all the podcasts, because there's also Scrabbling Across the West by Dave Coffell and Stephanie Coffell. Dave is a musician and Stephanie is his wife. They travel the country performing music and playing Scrabble over at scrabbling.solitairerose.com. And finally, the newest member of the Solitaire Rose Radio group, that's Fantastic Forecast, where myself and host of For the Love of Comics, Adam Vermillion, go over the series The Fantastic Four, 4 issues at a time. That's available at fantasticforecast.solitairerose.com. If you would like to advertise on any of these podcasts, you can. Just email me at solitairerosenetwork@gmail.com. Thanks. And I have one more plug for me. Saturday, Joe and Stephanie are dragging me out to do a convention. I will
Actually,
be doing
it's kind of the other way around. I mean, I'm kind of babysitting Cory so that he doesn't go off the deep end and decide, you know what? I'm tired of this shit. I'm going to swim the Mississippi River down to the Gulf of Mexico. Because as we all know, Cory doesn't swim. He just kind of follows, you know.
Actually, I would probably just go to that Books Unlimited and stay there all afternoon.
Yeah, there is that. And even they'd be annoyed at you.
But, Joe, you've got the details, right?
Nope.
No.
All I know is we're going. It's a con. I don't even know if I might bring just a box from the accumulation of crap. I don't know. But are we live podcasting, or are we just going to podcast and bring it back and put the best bits on the on this one here?
They want us to broadcast live. I will be doing a panel on podcasting.
Oh, good. I can go get gas while you're doing that.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
So it's 10 to 4, 11 to 4, something like that at the St. Cloud Library.
Yep. And as Cory talks, I will the Great River Regional Library, and it's yep. I think you've given all the pertinent information there. Hosted by the St. Cloud Public Library and the Great River Regions Library. They're forecasting anywhere from 66 to 84, mostly sunny, so you can come on out. A lot of people going. It's their second annual one, and there's also be a Smash Brothers tournament. So if you enjoy role-playing games, crafts, more, don't forget your costume. Take a walk down the runway. So it'll be fun, and we're going to be there. Come on up. Maybe Cory will bring copies of Worldwide News he can autograph for you.
Dan would have to bring those.
Oh, look at it. See, he pushes it off on everybody.
Dan has yet to tell me how to order them.
There is that. So I'm going to hang on to mine just in case. But it should be fun. And if you're in the St. Cloud area, plus you can go visit our friends at Granite City and
they're going to be there.
Bookstore. Yeah.
And they are doing a panel. Don't know what on, but they're doing a panel.
And speaking of Walking Dead, you can go over and see if they got any more of their Walking Dead exclusives left. So, yeah, it should be fun. And then the following weekend, if we feel like it, we're thinking of taking a tour of the. If you look at Minnesota, there's it's like a footprint sitting on top of Iowa, and apparently there's a lot of comic stores in that particular triangle. So some we visited, a lot of them we have not. And if you have a suggestion for one to visit, let us know. Who knows? We might meet you up there. But I did already find there's one in Rochester, Minnesota that has an event going on. So we might go there, and then I got to check Albert Lee because they have a con, and then over to LaCroix, and then up to Winona. And I also heard the world's biggest comic stores or candy store is somewhere around there. Who knows? Yeah. But when we get off air, we'll definitely be podcasting about that. So, but we got some exciting stuff coming up, and you can join us.
And now we get to Joe's favorite part of the show.
I can clear my throat. Ooh, yuck.
No, not where we see if they've got any Rat Bastard root beer out at the world's largest candy store.
Oh, I hope they do. Of course, I still got my bottle from last year. I can drink it and get another one.
It's what's going on the eBays, Joe?
Not a lot, although the things that are going are kind of fun. Every so often, if I luck out and I find a retailer incentive copy, like the current Transformers Ghostbusters crossover from IDW, and really if you're a Transformer or Ghostbuster fan, that's really all you need to know. So I picked it up. I thought I'd read it and give it a quick review. Nope. Sold it right away on the eBays because that's the type of guy I am. Cory remembers when Kurt Busiek and George Perez were doing a Avengers way back in, good gravy, what year was that? 1999. Ooh, we're old, aren't we? But there was an Dynamic Forces exclusive alternative cover, which I do not recall how you got, but they made like 5,000 copies, and I ended up getting 2 of them for some reason because of all the comics I have, I still have the Avenger Busiek run because I absolutely love it because he wrote it the way I liked it. A lot of details, a lot of footnotes in the back, and he worked with continuity, not against it. So, what happens when I stupidly buy two? I put it on eBays, of course. And then I sold a run of the 5th Green Lantern series, which I believe is it's still Jeff Johns and Doug Mankey, but it's also the New 52. And I read it and enjoyed it, but I dropped at about issue 20. So I had the 1 through 20, the annual, and volume 5, just as a big bundle. And some lucky guy won it. I'm going to mail it out tomorrow. And, of course, we couldn't get anywhere without a little Godzilla and Gangstas. IDW did a book, 2010, Gangstas and Goliaths. I think I basically, Detective Menko Sato is on an unrelenting quest to bring down the Takahashi crime syndicate. So he gets a one-way trip to Tropical Getaway, courtesy of the Tokyo criminal underworld. The exotic locale, Monster Island. So this was one of the variant covers, which had a very cool black and white photo of, well, not photo, but the drawing of Mothra and Godzilla coming at you. So, and I've had this thing forever, so it was just amazing. I just, lower the price till eventually it sells. And last one I sold, I don't know if I mentioned it last time, but if I did, I'll mention because I found I have another one. The My Little Pony micro series came out 2013 from IDW, and they had a ton of exclusive variants from different comic shops. And of course, the ones I got were from the source. And the added fun is that not only are the ones I selling source variants, which even the source doesn't have on the shelf anymore, but any of them I sell goes right to the charity art auction. Because as you know, I sell some of the stuff during the year for the Spring Con. In the meantime, we're gearing up for Fall Con, which is coming out October 5th, 2019, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. at the Minnesota State Fairgrounds in the Education Building.
Because you need to get educated.
And you do. A lot of questions coming out, but I don't think the website's active yet, but keep an eye on it because when it happens, I'll let you know. www.mcbacomiccons.com. I know Cory won't be there because he's usually working weekends, but I will be there. I won't actually be doing a booth, but I'm usually at the front door helping out, and then I wander around. And, if you got something you want to bring to the charity booth, I'm willing to pick it up and sit on it, get you a tax write-off for this year, and then we'll talk about it next SpringCon when I do sell it. In the meantime, eBay's is on 24/7, and if you see anything there, just send me a quick note. No, not saying please be sure to package the comic very well, because I do. I use some good Uline boxes. No, just tell me you listen to this here podcast, and I might even toss in a bonus or two. So should be a lot of fun. Crazy, Krayz, come get some.
And now we get to my favorite part of the show. No, not where I go on for a half hour about what the best air mattresses are. It's Freaking and Geeking. Joe, what are you freaking on?
Not really freaking on much. If you'd have talked to me at the beginning of the week, it would be that I am working and everybody in my area is gone. I mean, I did an international flight with 2 people, well over 200 bags. I mean, and the sad thing about it is the beef I have is, first of all, it's always going to be that way because everybody who's got seniorities and baggage, July 4th and Christmas being the other one, are the weekends in the week that everybody wants off. So all the high guys get their week off, and then us lower guys, we're stuck holding up the slack. And of course, management, they just don't get what's going on, because the problem with baggage, out of sight, out of mind. Checkpoints are big. We'll get people up there. We'll get the lines moving. But boy, baggage, they just don't care. Unless the bags start showing late. We're getting more and more flights. I mean, Delta's really booming right now. I mean, they've got a direct flight to Incheon, South Korea. They've got a direct flight to, I think it's Haneda, Japan. Aer Lingus is now in town. So if you want to fly to Ireland, you can. Delta and Iceland Air fly, of course, to Iceland. We got a flight from Mexico City. All these international bags are just coming in. And what management never gets, oh, yeah, check-in's going to be slow. We can give more people out. Excuse me. Did you know, Cory, you could have gotten a London round trip for $300 last week?
No.
Yes.
No one tells me anything.
Nobody tells me this. There's a service called TripAdvisor, and we don't get nothing from them, but it's great because if you go on there, he not only gives you tips, and some of them are like, yeah, stick with one credit card that gives you points, stick with one hotel, give it the loyalty programs. I mean, this guy ended up getting free business class upgrades to Australia and back. All he had to do was get to LA, and he just used points and did it for free. I mean, that's what this guy does for a living. And every so often he'll come on and he'll just mention, you got to see these things. They happen. It's not last minute things. It's just nobody's flying international during July 4th, not from the United States. Well, people are flying in because flights are cheap. And management just doesn't get that. They're sitting at home grilling. We're sitting downstairs getting our ass whooped. And it's bad when I go home and my new hip's going, what the fuck was that? Oh, so, yeah, again, I guess I'm freaking out about that. But it's over. I'm done with. I felt bad because as I was leaving I did some overtime yesterday. And as I was leaving, they hadn't gotten the big nighttime flights. So what happens is all the part-timers go and then the overtime's done and they're like, oh, well, you got 3 people. Good luck with that. Or had they asked, I probably would have stayed. But I had other things to do. And we'll talk about that in Geeking. The other weird freak, I guess it's going to end up, how'd the song go? Everything is all right. Only for whatever. I get a notice in the mail. You are going to be $1,000 short on your TSP loan. TSP being kind of like deferred comp. I put money in it. They invest it. I get it. It's tax free now. It lowers my current tax rate, but then that's my part of my retirement fund. I can take loans out against it, and I pay myself back along with the interest, only like 2-3%. But it's kind of a way to get an interest. One of the only perks you have if you actually have like a pre-tax IRA or some type of deferred comp. And I did it years ago to help Dana get to Italy for a year to finish her studies. We paid off a bunch of credit cards. I think we took a vacation. We're coming up to the end of it. It was supposed to be now, but we had this little goofy thing called the furlough, where for 2 months or however long, they basically, okay, your payments are suspended. You can pay them if you want. Otherwise, it'll be tacked on the end of the loan. Well, due to some vagaries of the IRS, how they monitor this, and I don't quite understand what it is, they came and they said, you're going to be $1,000 short on your loan. If you do not pay it, you will either take it as a distribution, which means I take it at my tax rate, which is the straight take. It's not with deductions. Plus, they tack on a 20% penalty because you're taking your pre-tax dollars before you agreed to take it. I'm supposed to wait till like 57 and a half. I'm like 54 now. Basically, you're talking a $400 hit on a $1,000 thing. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. You said you would suspend it. And well, yes, we did. We moved your payments back, but you didn't make the payments. Therefore, you were expected, here's the key part, under your back pay, when you finally did get paid, to make those payments. Well, guess what happened to Joe? Do you remember? Should I go back and do you folks want to go back and find that parts of the podcast and the freaking, or do you just want me to go through it here, Cory? What do you think? Should we make him do homework, or just spit it out since I'm obviously pretty freaked about it?
I just spit it out.
Oh, you're too kind. Anyways, remember I had planned to do LWOP, leave without pay, because I had money in the bank set up for my time off. And then they talked me, well, we have this voluntary leave program. Everybody likes you. Well, during a furlough, you don't use leave. No sick time, no vacation time. Had I had sick time, I could have said, well, I'm taking it. Well, you can't take it. Then they would have come back and paid me for it, because that's one of the big loopholes for people who have to work during a furlough. The people who didn't work, they get their back pay, and which means they got kind of a free vacation. It's not as much fun as because you're talking, well, my bills don't stop coming in. Cory can attest to that. Just because you're underemployed or unemployed doesn't mean bills don't stop. And we really got to find this bill guy and just bitch slap him. Now, bring that to the fact that whatever voluntary leave I may or may not have, because nobody's told me if anybody donated any. I'm not as popular as I thought I was. The point is I didn't have any. So I got LWOP'd, and I don't get back pay because you don't get back pay with LWOP. If I had vacation pay or sick time during that 2 weeks I was gone, or 2 months or whatever, I would have been given money for that and not charged it, if that's making any sense. But I fell down this really weird rabbit hole that, just really unique situation. And I'm kind of like talking to my wife, where the hell are we going to get $1,000? Cory, did you know, and I'll give you the dime because I don't really care if you do or not, that if you're a government employee and you work on a holiday, you get an extra day of pay.
I actually did know that because it's a lot like the setup we used to have at the group home, where if you worked on a holiday, you would get a day off because you're supposed to have it off, but you don't have it off. So you get your regular pay, plus you get that day off that you could actually take as pay.
Yeah, and obviously I couldn't do that because everybody else did. But I did get holiday pay because I did work July 4th. And of course, it's a very good incentive because I was in kind of a slow area, even though I did get tossed down into, remember that thing where 2 of us did the flight? So most of the day I'm sitting in a room that's like about 20 degrees hotter than the rest of the airport. And it was slow because we were up there to take care of oversized items and there weren't a lot of people flying. They either were where they were going to get or they were just waiting. So I did get holiday pay. And then, as you know, I'm trying to save my overtime pay, convert it to comp time, and build that up. Well, I just said, you know what? I got holiday paycheck. I've got 12 hours of OT. I will take that as actual overtime. So I'm going to have what I call a mega check. It's going to be probably double, if not triple, what I normally get. I told my wife, you know what? We're just going to write a check for $1,000 and be done with it. And she's naturally, we're going to lose $1,000. No, honey, we're not really losing $1,000. I'm paying myself. It goes into my retirement thing. And when years from now, I'll be talking about, I took a disbursement. And when Cory and I are old and senile on this podcast, because nobody podcasts, they do some other type of new technology. And I went out and bought me my comic books. And can you believe they're bringing back Walking Dead a third time? I thought he retired that back in 2019. So once she realized it's not like, paying a bill where, it's money gone. So I weathered that storm okay. Although, like I said, I'm still working towards the inevitable hip watch to the electric boogaloo. So all the monies I do on the eBays, I'll be throwing aside. So I'm actually feeling pretty good about this hip because A, I get Christmas off, and B, I think I've got it planned a little better, even with the little hiccups like we had today. So, Cory, if you got $1,000 I could borrow, I'd appreciate it. I'll talk to you next week about it. What are you freaking on, Mr. Strode?
Last night I went into the group home because they didn't have anybody to pass meds. And when I got there, one of the clients was sick.
Oh.
Now, we had 4 staff working, including me. 4 clients. So as I'm trying to get everything around, we call 911 for an ambulance because the resident was having trouble breathing and had a temperature that was pretty high, 102.9. I'm trying to find all the paperwork that we take with us when we go to the hospital. Now, it used to be that we would drive them to the urgent care. Well, the new policy is that we call 911 and an ambulance takes them when these things happen because we're not always going to have 4 staff. Matter of fact, at 9 o'clock, 2 of the staff left, so it was just 1 staff. I don't know why they had 4 staff, but I'm running around trying to find stuff. Nothing was where it was supposed to be. None of the paperwork was where it was supposed to be. Somebody had taken his file folder and shoved it in a box in a closet that was marked to be sent to one of the other houses. And the only reason I found it is because my anxiety was through the fucking roof. So my Saturday night, I'm at a hospital until around midnight. Then I come back And by the time I get all the paperwork and everything done, I think it's around 1 in the morning. And then my shift is over at 6, so I wake up at 5:30. My Fitbit said I got 4 hours of sleep last night.
Silly Fitbit.
Also, I signed up for overtime at the office job, not knowing that they would still need me to sleep every shift at the group home this week because they still don't have anybody trained on medication for overnights. So really, this week I've only been home at night about 2 to 2.5 hours. Good thing is it means that, I'm eating a lot in my car, which, wait, that's not a good thing, is it?
Depends on what you eat.
Get crap.
And you also got to remember now, the distracted driver laws are really in effect now. So if they see you chomping on something, they might just pull you over.
Oh, no. No, you can eat a sandwich. It's not like I've got, stopped at Boston Market. Mashed potatoes and gravy.
Depends on the cop. There are people that are getting busted for looking at their phone at a stop sign.
Oh.
So yeah, it's a no eat, no distract, no Homer Simpsoning world.
Well, good. Maybe they'll start catching the women who I see putting on makeup on my drive in. Comic wise, again, comic fans. If Mad had a sale for every person who complained that Mad was being canceled, they wouldn't be canceled. And the thing is, the best commentary I've read on this is by Mark Evanier, who talks about how, yeah, you know what? Over the past year or so, Mad's gotten a lot better. It's a lot funnier. I could give a ton of reasons why Mad is going away. From the fact that back in the 70s, editor Al Feldstein, by the end of the 70s, he knew that things were not going to be as well because the book distribution wasn't going as well. The magazine distribution wasn't going as well. In the 60s and 70s, Al Feldstein had a profit-sharing agreement. That's how Gaines was able to bring him back. So he was the richest editor in comics and probably in magazine publishing when Mad was selling 2.5 million copies every issue, plus the specials, plus the paperback books. And by the 80s, the paperback books weren't selling, the magazine sales were down. He knew and got out in 84. And then the editors from 84 on, they were able to keep Mad in New York for an extra 2 years. But they didn't cultivate new artists in the 70s and 80s and 90s. They didn't change with the times. And it's funny how people complained, oh, they got color. Oh, they have ads. Mad had ads back in the 50s. So, the whole, oh, Mad having ads is going to ruin it. They just didn't change fast enough with the times. Neither did Crack. Neither did National Lampoon. It's a rough world out there for periodicals. I can point to magazines that people said would never die that are dead. The people who complain about, oh, it's DC's mismanagement, it's this or that, they just don't seem to understand that magazines are dying because nobody's buying them. You go to the grocery store, what do you see? You see women's magazines and gun magazines. Why? Because that's all that's selling. Time magazine, if it weren't for subscriptions, wouldn't exist. I could probably point to tons of magazines that wouldn't exist if not for subscriptions. And Joe, for all the people who say, well, if Mad was better, it would sell. Playboy has naked women in it, and it's not selling. It's not the content. It's the fact that people don't read it magazines anymore. Joe, what you geeking on?
Oh, that's right. I was geeking on something, wasn't I? Actually, not a lot because I was working a lot this week. I did pick out an oldie but goodie. Kurt Busiek, George Perez, GLA Avengers. I have the Absolute, which is fun because it also has the how do you say it? Annotated book, which tells you
Yep.
about every single reference and who all the things are. I mean, this is basically their love affair to comics, and I enjoyed the heck out of it when it came out. I know there was a little blowback because whatever. Well, nothing is grand. It doesn't matter what they did, people would find fault. I just love it. It's beautiful art. It's fun storyline, and I do. It's one of those I just pull out, and I'm sure I've raved about it in the past. I'm plowing through Howard Stern's book, Comes Again. Well, actually, it's Howard Stern Comes Again. Get it? And this is kind of a fun book. First of all, I love Howard Stern. I've always loved him. I've never met a guy who could actually simultaneously, challenge me intellectually and then also repulse me to the point where I turned off his program. And then, of course, I turn it back on and go, yeah, I'm repulsed. But he has changed a lot. We've talked about it in the past. He's become one of the best interviewers in the world. He has just a way of disarming people and getting them to open up with stuff. The book was kind of his introduction is kind of fun because he talks about, it seemed interesting. They gave me, here's all your interviews. We want to publish them. And then he went through them and did what he always does. He overthinks it, overthought it, put this in, took this out, took 2 years on what he thought would be a 2-minute, yes, let's do it deal. And the results are stunning. Not only is it fun to read, I think it'd be more fun to watch, really, but you read the interviews, you listen to them open up, slew of celebrities that are on here. And I'm just starting, like the ones I've read so far: Madonna, Tracy Morgan, Jerry Seinfeld, Ozzy Osbourne, Stephen Colbert, Bill Murray, Harvey Weinstein. And yes, this was Howard talks about not quite sure if we should do this because, he put it in because, just kind of a cautionary tale if anything, but he did agonize over that. I just finished this morning Rosie O'Donnell, and I'm halfway through Anderson Cooper, and I'm not even a third of the way into this book. Just a brilliant book. If you like celebrities, take a look. You'll probably see a celebrity in there. You'd love to hear the interview. And if you're one of these people who have an old hang up about Howard, he's a trash talking sex jerk. Yes, he was. He isn't anymore. And he even admits that. He hung up too much on sexuality. Truth be told, you're the one that's hung up. Something about American sex. They just don't get it. Then again, Playboy didn't sell. What do I know? This week, I didn't listen to a lot of music, like I'm wanting to do, come in and go, hey, I found this, I found that. But I have discovered some other things. Cory, have you seen the Graham Norton show?
Yes.
Have you seen 8 out of 10 Cats?
No.
Oh, my sweet bejesus. Go Google that and go look at some of the YouTube videos. The people I was working with were like, Ryder, you've been laughing nonstop for 4 hours. What the hell are you watching? And I thought I was being quiet, but when you're in a quiet room with headphones on, everybody hears you. It's like an early version of Whose Line Is It Anyways? And it's just the fact that I don't know what's going on and the people on there are just inherently funny. It's supposed to be a game show, but they just go off on some crazy, crazy tangents. And I just watch one clip after the other. And I started off watching film clips of the Graham Norton show and Craig Ferguson and some Letterman, here's him talking with Robin Williams. Here's him talking with whoever. And I got to 8 out of 10 Cats, and I lost it. I don't know if full episodes are on. I just watched the hilarious, they had this guy laughing. I actually posted one on my Facebook page and just said, I can't breathe. I was laughing so hard. So if you're looking for a good smile, definitely check that out. I am really, really looking forward to geeking with Cory this weekend. I mean, we do this every week, but we rarely get to see each other. Off-camera stuff is usually, or podcast is usually, are you free this weekend? I got to work group home. Next weekend, I'm doing overtime. This is going, I can't get to it. But we're going to, not only are we going to hang at the con, which should be fun, and if it's not fun, we got backup plans. Cory might have backup plans beyond his backup plans, but I
always have backup plans for my backup plans.
Not going to let him near the Mississippi River. Trust me. Although today it's kind of warm. It'd be nice to kind of get jumping to that. And if we actually can pull off this this grand tour of Southeast Minnesota, that'll be fun. We'll bring our recorders along and pod as we run. Chris actually is kind of giving me. She actually was kind of pushing me on this because I was kind of like, I don't know if Cory's free to do this, and I just had to blow $1,000. That was going to be my funny money to go have fun. But she said, no, do it. And the following weekend, then we're going up north to the Blueberry Festival, which is up in Ely, Minnesota. So I'll have a report about that. And then we'll be in August. What will we think of then? So anyways, that's what I'm freaking on, things I'm looking forward to. How about you, Mr. Strode? What's got you, wait, did I say freaking? Geeking. What do you got you geeking on?
Graphics on my tablet is awesome. It's the ad-supported comic book app. I read Klaus, which was the Grant Morrison origin of Santa Claus, which was a lot more uplifting and heartwarming than I thought it would be, based on the art, because the art makes it look like it's going to be, big He-Man fighting book, but it's not. It feels very much like one of those Rankin Bass specials, except much, much better. I'm also reading Irredeemable and Again by Mark Waid and Peter Krause, which is what if Superman decided to screw this being a hero stuff. I also been taking along hardcovers because a lot of times if I go in for the evening, I'm there, I give meds, and then the clients just kind of either want to watch TV or like July 4th and the night after July 4th, after they got their meds at 7:30, what was it, July 4th, all the clients were in bed by 7:30 at night because they were tired. They're older at the cottage I was at. And it's okay. They wanted to go to bed. I just had my tablet. I also would throw a hardcover or two in in one of my go bags, and while I'd much rather be home, it was a nice kind of way to spend an evening. Last night, of course, not the best way to spend an evening. The other book I've read is The Bird King by G. Willow Wilson. She's the writer on Wonder Woman now. She was the creator of Ms. Marvel and wrote that book for ages and ages. The Bird King is set during the Spanish Inquisition. It's a fantasy with a historical context. It has a lot of stuff in there I did not know about. Characters are limited. There aren't a whole lot of characters in it, which means that in this novel, she's able to really flesh out each character. I was just amazed at how much I loved this book, and I read through it. I read the entire novel in about 2 days. Can't recommend it enough. The Bird King. It's only out in hardcover now. I imagine it'll be in softcover around the end of the year. Just a nice fantasy novel that you didn't have to buy 4 other fantasy novels to read. And TV-wise, I have not been able to watch a lot because I'm not home much, but what I have been watching is New Japan Pro Wrestling. And let's see, yesterday, which when this drops would be 2 days ago, they had the opening of the G1 tournament, which is their annual summer tournament, in Dallas, Texas. So it was all on Access TV. And I'm so looking forward to that. One of the things about the G1 tournament is that it goes for, about 16 days, and it's pretty much every day, 4 hours a day. So there's more wrestling than I will ever be able to watch. But rather than complain about, Raw is the same matches over and over, and SmackDown is the same matches over and over. Nope. I got me my New Japan, and I can watch that, and I can see some amazing stuff. Jushin Thunder Liger, one of my favorite wrestlers, is kind of on his farewell year. And he's our age, Joe. He is 54. And rather than doing what a lot of the older wrestlers in the WWE do, which is, hey, I'm going to do my greatest hits, even though I physically can't do that stuff anymore and it looks really bad. He has changed up his matches. So, they still are flashy and fun, but he's not doing the stuff that he knows he physically can't pull off, or that would hurt a lot more than when he was in his 20s. And that seems to be an art that has been lost over the years, because for the longest time, wrestlers would cycle in and out so fast, you didn't get the people who came in and worked for 20 years and had the older wrestlers say, now, as you get older, you're going to want to switch from doing these flips and jumps to this. You want to move from this to this. Or you get the guys like Hulk Hogan who never did that stuff. So it was just kick, kick, punch, punch. And their bodies broke down too. But because they had done, Hogan did the leg drop so much, that's why he had to get both hips and both knees replaced. No one ever watched a Hulk Hogan match and went, wow, that is a 5-star technical match. But the way he treated his body over the years, he couldn't even do the typical Hulk Hogan match, because he never learned what a lot of the wrestlers who, in the older system learn, which is how you work when you're young, is how you work when you're old. And this is how you could, when you're older, you could get an audience pop by doing much, much less. I was actually listening to Colt Cabana talk with a wrestler once, and he was like, they were both injured. They'd been on the road, they beat to hell, and they were able to put together a match that the crowd went crazy for without taking a single bump, without falling to the mat once. And he said nobody noticed because they were so skilled at it. So there was that. The few little time I've had at home, I've enjoyed that. Previews is going to be a lot of fun next week. Don't know when we're going to talk about it, but previews is going to be fun. A lot of cool books from Marvel.
I was just looking online. They haven't even shipped mine yet.
Those bastards.
Maybe I'll just have to bite the bullet and go get I'll just go buy one. I hate to buy one because they're $5, and Discount Comic Book Service sells them for $1. And I don't hang on to them. I recycle them right afterwards. So, but for this show, I may make the ultimate sacrifice, or not. We'll see when it ships.
Well, believe it or not, kids, you've listened to us blather on about funny books for an hour and a half.
Don't you got a life? Can't you do like I did last night with my wife and stay up for 8 hours and watch all Stranger Things 3, which, by the way, was fabulous.
And as we say every week, the comic we like the least, we still like better than the comic that you like the most. Joe?
Cory, you got 8 minutes?
No, not really.
Okay, well then everybody else, the song coming up is a modern-day protest song from our old buddy Dave Kofel, folk singer, all-around good guy, and we'll actually see him this weekend because he's going to be not only at the Great River Regional Library in Annandale, Minnesota, but if you happen to be in Eagle Bend, let's see, when does this show drop? That's,
tomorrow.
On this Thursday. If you're in Eagle Bend, Minnesota, he'll be there. He's on the North Shore right now, but they're going back on the 12th of July for Two Harbor Heritage Day, coming down to the library on the 13th, going back to Duluth at Ursa Minor Brewery for a show, and then on the 20th, the Mississippi River Distilling Company in LeClaire, Iowa, and down to, I can't even pronounce it, Trempealeau, Wisconsin at the historic, whatever I just said, hotel for a show on the 21st. And not only that, he's going to be at the Minnesota State Fair Thursday, August 22nd. If you like Cory and don't like crowds, go to the Underground Music Cafe at Falcon Heights because he will be there that same night at 7 p.m. And anyways, he gave us this song a while back, and it's a live version. And the only reason I haven't dropped it is because it is 8 minutes long, but it is really good. So if you get a chance, even if you just wait and listen to it later when you got some time, or you just want to calm down from this rootin' tootin' electric boogalooing podcast, well, give a listen. Here's Dave Kofel, The Billionaires. Cory, hit my music.